All right, listen to this. Our first guest performer is a powerful voice coming straight out of the Bronx, New York.
A queer Dominican poet who's not only making waves with her words but building a real community through art. She's been featured in literary journals, performed on and off Broadway stages, and lit up spaces from the Bronx Pride March to major open mic nights. Oh, that's me again. And beyond the spotlight, she's the founder of Poetry House LLC's, creating safe, creative spaces for queer voices to thrive.
Performing her latest spoken word pieces, give it up and welcome. Let's say it together. Scarlet Gomez! Woo!
I made a dentist appointment. My insurance was expiring and it was Aetna with no copays, and if y'all know the world of insurances, no deductible or copay is a unicorn. So I went to the dentist for the second time that year and she told me I've got gingivitis. It seems my gums are bleeding and my heart hurts because I'm not flossing after bed or before every meal, and since my teeth aren't seashells, I bleed whenever I'm lied to. I mean, I knew flossing was a thing, but really, gingivitis? All 'cause my water flosser died. I don't know where the charger is 'cause I've got ADHD, and sometimes when I'm adjusting my gold earrings, I see the gold crowns that winked from my grandfather's teeth. And then my gums start bleeding. Bright and urgent, the same papers that got him here killed him, but really, it was oligarchs in high chairs overseeing construction sites from their computer screens. The end of big government, a red carpet for neoliberalism, and blue-suited, blue-eyed white boys bringing their goldens to work while my grandfather brings us to see the rows and rows of mannequins he helped make in a sweatshop. There's only one office with a candy jar.
Hello?
Air at a crisp
Okay, hear me?
72 degrees and an air purifier always running, but I noticed when my grandfather worked, it was hot. And everywhere we went, there were smells. And there was always a report. But the numbers don't capture exposure to chemicals or plastic spores. Instead, it tells Blue Eyes he's going to Punta Cana next week. Not that deregulation is a breeding space for cancer, and cancer can make you forget where to find your feet or how to untie your sandals. My grandfather's toes turned blue. So blue he shivered like a terrified dog, a man who has seen the end of a civil war and the murder of a dictator and a country with a language he doesn't speak, and God knows the stories our ancestors keep. My grandfather disappeared. And it all happened so fast I didn't have enough time to ask, so now I asked my grandmother everything. My grandmother, whose hair haloed around her face like an angel, loved her golden hoop earrings. But now her hair falls down her ears. And she rocks on a wooden chair, and I need to tell her everything, like, how did you two meet? How old were you when the regime fell? If he and Theo both fought in the Civil War, which side did they fight for? How many times did you flee? How many Black Lincolns drove by you? Does the fear of being found at the wrong place at the wrong time get passed down by blood or by the lingering memory of a dictator who sees himself as God? Does the hatred people carry come from the Parsley Massacre? Seeing the bodies of our siblings redlining land that always belonged to them and your silver teeth. Why aren't they gold? How come Papa's side of the family lives in a gated housing complex and don't visit us? How come I only met them when Theo died? Sometimes I'd wish she'd answer and for my gums to bleed, because then at least I'd know she's lying. So then I ask her if they just never talked about this sort of thing, and she says no, and then I taste iron in my mouth. My dentist asks what I used to floss, and I say my water flosser died. And I've been too lazy to go down to the store to get regular floss, and it's bad for the environment anyway, so I just wash out my mouth or brush my teeth. And she turns into my nagging mother. She goes, gathering gingivitis won't open any closed grave, saying the wrong thing got you killed, so everything must get buried. scrubbed out of existence. You need to floss, I need to floss. There is nothing else I can do to stop the silence soon. Like everything we want to remember but don't. The gingivitis goes away and it stays gone.
Wow, Scarlet. First of all, that was very beautiful and very heartwarming, and that was a great performance. And you know, your poetry feels very personal and very honest. When you sit down and write, does it usually come from your own experiences, emotions, or just whatever is happening with you around the moment?
So I will say that I think it comes from a combination of all of those things. It does come from a place of me wanting to share my personal lived experiences, of wanting to find community through my stories. I tend to, or in the beginning, I had felt very isolated in the sense of being the only queer Dominican, the only Dominican who's an out lesbian in my spaces. And so I started openly writing about the questions that I had about what it meant to be Dominican, about my queer story, about my coming out story. And slowly over the last few years, I've been able to build a small community of people who have felt also like they were alone in where they were in their life.
Wow, that is so cool. Ivory, you had a question you wanted to ask here.
Yes. You're Bronx based, and the Bronx has a strong history of storytelling, poetry, and creativity. How has the Bronx influenced your voice as a writer and artist?
So I think that the Bronx is everything that I am. It is everything that I try to embody. I think that it doesn't get realer than the Bronx. And I try to do that with my storytelling too. I don't think there's anything about my poetry or my writing in general that is flowery, that is fluffed up. I try to give it to you straight. I try to be as honest and as true to who I am and what I'm thinking about, and the questions that I have about the world and the things that I want to call out.
Okay. You founded Poetry House LLC, which creates a space for expression and community through poetry. Why was it important for you to build something like that, especially for young creativities?
Okay, so funny story. Not really funny, but when I first started going to open mics, one of the very first ones that I went to, I had performed one of my queer poems, and somebody came up to me from the audience and said, "Oh, you're gay? You know God doesn't like that, right?" And it was a very jarring experience because it wasn't the first time that I had heard of homophobic sentiments in the poetry community, on top of racist sentiments. Like I had a friend who attended a slam, and during her poem, there was a person in the audience who was kind of like shutting her down and telling her like, America is great, America's the best, like what are you talking about? And so I really wanted to find a space that was safe, not just for queer people, but for all sorts of people. It is queer-centric because I'm queer. And for me, queer is less of a sexual and gender identity, and it is more of a politic. And it felt very important to create a space where people felt safe in sharing what they had to say without being menaced by an audience member who just wanted to put them down for the sake of putting them down because they were different, because they were not white, because they were not straight. So that was really important to me.
Wow, that is just something that, you know, your poetry is just something, you know, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Scarlet Gomez, ladies and gentlemen. And we will be right back in just a moment now. What? Wait, who's tapping me? Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh, ladies and gentlemen, my first co-host, Ebony Harper, y'all. Oh!
Thank you.
Oh, Ebony, explain this here.
Well, I had to pull up. I wanted to celebrate the 100th episode because I was here from the beginning. So I know how, like, this whole process was, even starting the spotlight. The spotlight was, it started out a group of us, and we actually, for it to still be going on, you know, because of David, and, you know, of course, y'all, it's just amazing. You know, I wanted to come here, you know, celebrate and support, and, you know, why not? You feel me? I had parts in it too as well, so it was like, I wanted to definitely show my respects and give my appreciation to y'all for letting that, you know, keep celebrating it, you know? So
Oh my goodness.
I had to come.
Listen, you brought a tear to my eye. I haven't seen her in years.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's definitely been a minute.
It's been a minute here,
Yeah.
but that's Ebony Harper, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, y'all.
Yes. Stick around for the end of the show. We want you to close us out here. And give it up for Scarlet once again.